Thanks for joining the HomeMatters podcast with Eric and Gena Boggs, where they lead authentic, raw discussions about marriage, family life, kids, intimacy, and sex from a biblical perspective. Now here's your host, Eric and Gena Boggs.
Thank you for being back, podcast 33. And hey, the lead-in said raw, about intimate relationships, sexuality, all that good stuff.
Sure
and
did.
We're on romance today. This is part 2. So
it's part 2.
That's right. Back up to 32 if you
We
haven't
just
listened
decided we would continue on.
That's right.
And this is
The love month.
February 15th. And I hope to the Lord, I hope to God that nobody is waking up hearing this morning and saying, uh-oh.
That's right. Because the
Yesterday
podcast
was
at like 5 in the morning. So yeah,
That'd be
would
awful.
Bad. That would
I
be
hope
really
that's
bad.
not anybody that's listening.
No.
That you forgot that yesterday
My
was Valentine.
You still going to be my Valentine today?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Always.
Thank
Every
you.
day.
Good deal. So we were talking about romance, and
Yep.
we just decided to click
Since
on
it is the
over
love month, we're talking
That's
about the romance of love. We talked about love the first week, and then now the second week and third week. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more as far as romance in the marriage relationship and keeping
shared
it
some scripture out of Song of Solomon. That's a great book for you to go read and
keeping it what it should be, what
That's
it's
right.
intended to be,
and to keep your love relationship just fresh and revived and fun and interesting and not boring. And I mean, this is not the notes, but we have a great time together. I mean, just fun, I love to hang out with this man. I mean, he's my favorite place to be. And just
You're my favorite person to be with ever.
that's the way I should have said it right. Where you are is my favorite place to be.
There's a lot of place here.
Just
I take up a lot of place.
You good, babe. Just being together and, just enjoying one another's company, and then throwing in that whole, we said last time, the whole romantic, the whole intimate piece. This is my person on this planet, the only person to share that with.
Yeah.
And, without that part of our relationship, then it's just like any other relationship. But the marriage relationship gives us opportunity, gives us place, privilege to entertain the sexual aspect and the romantic part.
Yeah, and we're just asking you to just consider maybe making sure that you nurture and you work at it.
That's right. Be intentional. We always use that word intentional, but
I know that it's so easy to kind of fall into the drift or the rut and just kind of drift apart.
True. Yeah.
And before you know it, your romance has exited the building, and you're just kind of surviving together, and that's never what God intended as a Christian. As a Christian podcast, we believe that God intended for this relationship to thrive in every way possible.
That's right.
Every area of this relationship. And sometimes, again, I think that we are, in the church especially, we're intimidated by the romantic relationship, the intimate relationship, the sexual relationship, and it's something that we've tried to just bring awareness to from the scriptural perspective that,
That's right.
And when we do that, we degrade or diminish what God created as pure and what He created as something pure and holy as a gift from Him. That this intimate relationship should be like no other on the planet.
That's
and
right.
the thing that we have in marriage.
I love Song of Solomon. We shared some of those scriptures before. You can go back. But, the invitation to kiss, the invitation to caress, to hold, to hug, to talk, the communication piece, just the way they talk to one another. But I think in our intent to take time to be romantic and to do those extra maybe acts of romance, it just communicates value. It just communicates value in the relationship and in the person. That you mean something to me, and you're special to me, and because of that, I take time to do these things.
And it shouldn't be something I got to ask for all the time either.
That's right.
If I'm just having to ask for it, am I valuable? Do I matter? Or do you love me? All of that.
Where are the flowers?
Yeah, it shouldn't be something that is what's the right word? That mechanical? Is that a good word? Or it shouldn't be something that we have to ask for. That are the value that we have to each other should be given, and as we romance one another.
I mean, if I have to ask for it all the time or beg for you to be romantic, then that really takes the romanticism out of it, right? Is that the right word?
Romanticism.
Romanticism. What did I say?
Romanticism.
Oh well.
You made up a new word.
A new word. There you go. But that takes the whole romantic piece out, right?
Again, it does take, especially any spontaneity out of it.
Yeah.
And again, sounds like we're contradicting there. There's intentionality that we're taking initiative, but again, we're talking about spontaneity too. But again, we just believe that it becomes, if you're intentional long enough, it becomes your nature.
That's right.
Romance becomes, most people are not romantic by nature, or guys are not. Yes, some people are, but guys are not as good with romance sometimes, or fueling romance as I think as ladies are sometimes. That may not even be true. I'm not saying I'm citing any kind of source or anything, but it just feels like most of the time that guys are the ones that struggle with remaining romantic after
I think
after marriage.
A lot of guys do is they hide that.
Yeah, I can go with that.
But maybe that doesn't seem.
Yeah, they romanced until the I do's.
They romanced when they needed to, right?
Yeah.
So
I've always said it this way: if you've ever been, you still are, and I believe that. If you've ever been a romantic, you still should be.
That's right.
Just because you said I do, and just because that may sound silly to you as a married man of 15 years or 30 years, then again,
you just worked at it harder then.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so you have to make sure that you just don't quit working at it.
That is the whole deal right there, wrapped up, signed, sealed, delivered. We work at it until we get what we want, and until again we get marriage, or she's finally my wife, or he's finally my husband. We work at it hard. We strive for it every day. But then after the I do's, it's kind of like, we just kind of let that begin to be secondary in our life.
That's
and
true.
the pursuits begin to change. And
That's true.
we just believe that has to be something we always pursue.
Yeah, I think it's important, too, that we understand that, romance may be different, between us. What feeds me or what may seem romantic to me might not be, I don't usually bring Eric flowers. That's just.
She don't bring me flowers.
Oh, sing to me, baby.
Anymore. Who's that? That's old.
But listen.
Neil what?
Diamond? Was that Neil Diamond? But
she don't bring me flowers.
But I tell you what speaks romantic to him. If I bring him a big hunk of chocolate. Dark chocolate. So
I can tell you a lot of things that speak romance to me a lot quicker than a big chunk of chocolate.
Well, I know, but I can't say some of those things. Like
yes, you can. Yes, you can. Again, I mean, for guys and gals, we are different, and usually for her, it is the way I communicate love to her. It's the way I communicate my attraction to her, the way I communicate my confidence in her. All of that is things that she, I think, is needed in her life for her to feel romantic, for her to be turned on, if I can say it that way. Any of those things are things that should be happening on the regular, non-sexual affection or non-sexual touch, that kind of stuff. That
something that's romantic?
What?
When you vacuum.
I think she's using this time.
No. If we could ask women out there. No, sometimes it's just things that wouldn't seem very romantic, I think, that end up being.
So me vacuuming turns you on.
I like it when you vacuum.
I didn't know that. That's a discovery today in this podcast.
I'm just
what
saying,
podcast is this? 33?
You're going to go back and listen yourself.
The day I became a vacuumer.
I'm just saying. I think.
The day that I became.
The vacuuming man of the universe.
The vacuuming machine. It's like he's got an attachment on his arm. There's a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, my goodness. We got to reel it back in. No, I'm just saying, I just want to say beyond the normal, okay? Just the things like candy or
so acts of service is one of your love languages.
Yeah, I think so.
This woman's complicated anyway. You got to know. I still can't figure out. It's like all of the love languages fit her in some ways.
That's right. I just need it all, baby. I'm sorry. I'm a needy woman, right?
I didn't know that.
No, but then, I think you just have to know one another.
Yeah.
I know for you, for me to initiate, for me to show desire for you.
Yeah.
That's romantic
goes a long way.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with that comes the honor and respect thing.
Yeah.
Again, I think that when you see that desire with your husband, that drive is there, that attraction is there, and you're willing to respond to that, then I don't think a man feels clammy or dirty. I've said before, women, I've seen it where, a wife come in after 15 years of marriage and say, he still, he just seems like he wants sex. Well, that's not wrong. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing, right? That's a positive.
He still wants you, right?
Yeah, he still wants to be with you, and and for you to treat me like, that's not something that you're afraid of or that you consider to be unholy. Can I say it that way?
Yeah.
But you realize that that's something that God gives us, and that desire is there.
That's right.
And it's nurtured and encouraged, and I think for that, for me, that goes a long way with the honor and respect thing when it comes to our intimate relationship.
Right.
Because again, it's something that's valued and not devalued. Boy, we could really get into some stuff there. That's just something that I think that so many times we dishonor and we devalue the things that God put in our life to be something that's precious,
right,
and holy and of great value. And sometimes we kind of degrade that and cheapen it and don't treat it the same way God does. So
true. But I mean, for me, I honor the fact, I love the fact that my husband desires me.
Yeah.
And that it's romantic to him when I, reciprocate that desire. So
this day after Valentine's, almost said Thanksgiving, because I'm so thankful. But again, the day after Valentine's, again, we're just saying it, man, romance is something that if you allow God to be right in the middle of it, again, a man's supposed to enjoy the wife of his youth.
That's right.
It's not a bad thing.
That's right.
Marriage bed is pure, is holy in God's sight. It's not something that's dirty, and it's not something the world has made just so unclean and unholy and so distorted in so many ways. But it's something that
distorted. That's so true.
Our intimate sexual relationship is something that God created, and He wants to make it everything that He has in mind for it.
That the whole intimate piece is just so important. That knowing, but I think we fail to realize that romance really leads to that intimacy.
Yeah.
It helps open the door to that intimate place. And man, just the importance of touching. Eric said a little bit ago, non-sexual touches, but whether it's in public or if we're driving down the road or whatever, that we just take the time maybe just to reach over and touch, to kiss. You can look at stats. We don't have them right here or time, but the number of married couples that just don't kiss anymore.
Yeah.
Man, I just challenge you. Get your kiss back on, right?
Yeah. Get some good hygiene and
brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth. Take the initiative. But again, just a smooch here and there. Again, just the things that really should be common in this relationship. Again, Song of Solomon, come with kisses,
right. The invitation, come kiss me.
The invitation is there.
Right there in chapter 1.
And again, I know that's kind of sloppy,
Sloppy kiss?
Yeah, that ooey gooey kind of loving that, people need, it needs to be private. I've often said, I'm not real big on somebody kissing in front of me, but again, the reality is that's something that we should, as a married couple, it should be kind of a normal part of our relationship.
That's right.
That type of expression, that kind of love, and
absolutely.
I don't know that sometimes because we don't allow things like those touches, those kisses. I think that sometimes we're defueling our romantic relationship, and I just don't believe that God has designed this relationship that way. And it's obvious in Scripture that
That's so true.
we're supposed to love our wives, and that is to put on display the love of Christ,
And even enjoy one another.
yeah,
Enjoy the physical relationship that
Yeah.
God's given us in this one place. We say it again, in this one relationship. God says, enjoy that part of your life with one another.
And when that's stolen away, I think when the romance and the intimate relationship where that's diminished, I think we're becoming like an open target,
Absolutely.
and the enemy
Or the
can
enemy.
so easily slip into that
Yeah.
relationship and really begin to bring destruction and destroy
That's right.
the marriage.
Well, that's where, affairs and things like that
Yeah.
are birthed out of, because, how does that start? It was a look, it was a touch,
Yeah.
it was noticing. It was one of those things that should be going on all the time in the marriage relationship.
Right.
And when it's not going on there, then all of a sudden there's the attention of another.
Yeah. And I say this, affairs take place, I think, at three levels: emotionally, conversationally, which those are pretty close tied together naturally, physically. I believe that affairs take place, it's not just when you actually have a physical relationship. When
So
you begin
true.
to
That's
emotionally
good.
open your life to other people, then
Right.
that you should not in the manner that our emotions are open to
Right.
one another as husband and wife. When we begin, I think that people get involved in affairs emotionally,
That's so
And,
true. And
again, that
starts-
naturally leads to other things. But
Yeah, but that starts through some of these acts, even down to conversation
Mm-hmm.
and things that should be going on in the marriage relationship that at one point were going on.
and you
in the
begin to
marriage
have that with
relationship.
somebody else outside of husband and wife,
Right.
and that's what we're
That's
saying,
trouble.
man. When we allow the romance of our relationship, when we allow that to begin to die out, where the flames begin to flicker, if I can say it that way, and it begins to, be something that's not important. We're in a dangerous place.
That's so
Any
true.
couple.
So true.
Especially couples just starting out again. You may be going through that dull moment right now. You've started the drift and you're apart and you're not as crazy about each other as you once were. Man, we just encourage you, find your first love.
Absolutely.
Go back and work that thing and
Yeah.
see what can happen in your relationship.
Yeah,
Because
and to find that first love, that's clear too. You just go back and do your first works again.
yeah,
What did we do at the beginning when we were dating, when we first fell in love? Why are those things not happening now?
Yeah.
Why did they stop? What has happened?
and again, there are a lot of reasons. There are a lot of
Sure.
things that are working against it.
Absolutely.
Some things we talk about sometimes when it comes to things that are hurting the intimate relationship, or things like just simply not planning. Where our intimate relationship is something we should plan time together. We should plan dates.
That's
we should
right.
plan nights just to be together at home.
Without distractions.
all of that.
And, just for one another. We talk about things like just the curse of familiarity. What's that mean? We just get so used to one another. We
Yeah.
just take each other for granted. Don't appreciate, like we were talking about earlier, we don't appreciate and honor and just really take to heart the gift that God has given us in our spouse, in this person God's given us to do life with. We just take that for granted.
Yeah. And we just, again, that's things that we need to be aware of. A family growing, children
Absolutely.
coming along.
Kids.
Those I shouldn't say those children, because of the involvement, because of the requirement of sacrifice and time on
They
mom
are
and
a
dad's
blessing.
part.
We'll say
They're a
that.
tremendous
We teach
blessing.
that.
We teach. We've talked about this. They've been a strength to our relationship.
Right.
Raising a family, that was a strength. But again, with children comes time, and before we know it, we kind of slip in some areas where our relationship used to be strong and full of romance, all of a sudden we've kind of forgotten each other.
Yeah, and I
because
think
all
you
the
have
other
to
time.
be, here comes that word again, you have to be very intentional about navigating that season of
Yep.
your life so that when your kids are grown and gone, that you aren't left looking at the stranger that you haven't known for 18 years.
Yeah, and with that comes exhaustion.
Absolutely.
That's kind of
just the
the results of some of this that we're talking about. We're just saying these things can kind of tear away or tear down your intimate relationship, your romantic relationship.
It's so true.
And,
when you're caught in responsibilities and, even financial obligations. Man, we get ourselves in a fix sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we just caught in survival mode for all the things and all the stuff. And, we can let this relationship go. Don't do it. Don't do it.
We're running out of time, and we just say this: don't let these things come. Don't let all this stuff. Don't let it come after your intimate relationship. Don't let it deter. Don't let it take away from your intimate romantic relationship. Hey, it is the love month, Valentine's.
Hey, make a commitment to make it better.
Yeah.
Right. Just make a commitment.
Yeah, some
we're going to
changes.
be more intentional about being romantic, touching, kissing,
Being in love after I do. We got to go.
right.
We're out of time.
Hey,
God
see you
bless you.
next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.